there, fellow YouTubers. It's Frank Bush here again. So I had the company DEERFAMY sent me some free merch to test out and to review and that kind of thing. I also had the company Waterfly send me this backpack, and I'm just out hiking around in the area I'm in, and I thought I'd stop and show the DEERFAMY hammock and sleeping pad and pillow they sent. They asked me to try it out and give it a review. Normally when I'm doing my full-length videos, I don't tend to like to take untested equipment out into the field with me. So I've come into a woodland area that's close to the area I live, and I'm just going to set up the hammock and inflate the mat and the pillow and that kind of thing, and see how they all come together and the quality of them, and make sure that I'm confident in using these in a future video. And that really is my larger intent of, I will kind of just make sure these are field stable to use, and in one of my future full-length videos I plan on utilizing these pieces of equipment in one of those future videos. So either way, I'll just do a kind of a close-up on the different products. Like I said, they sent me over a lightweight hammock that they have, and it comes with tree huggers so I can wrap around the trees and that kind of thing. They sent me an inflatable pillow, and they sent me an inflatable sleeping pad. So normally I don't use inflatables that often, so I'll inflate them here for this example, but I'm definitely going to give them a good thorough test to make sure that they don't pop or any of that kind of stuff. You know, with the pillow it's a little bit secondary. If it deflates and that kind of stuff, I'm not worried about it. But with this pad, I'll really test that on my own accord before I start using it out into the field. I've had situations in the past where pillows or pads have deflated, and I've talked about it in previous videos where I prefer the foam pads because of that, but I do like the comfort of the inflatables. So I'll set this whole thing up and I'll kind of walk through the setup of it and all that kind of stuff, and then, like I say, these will be featured in a future video if they pass the test. So stay tuned. I'll go through the details of this and how they're all assembled and that kind of stuff. So I'll just give a close-up now. Like I say, this is the hammock here, and come in good quality bags. You know, very soft fabric just by the feel of it, but nope, it's got the little lock knots that stop everything up at the top and that kind of thing. So I know, fairly standard when it comes to this type of stuff. This is the pillow. As you can see, it packs down fairly small. And then this is the sleeping pad. You know, all combined, I'm guessing at about 3 pounds. I haven't gone and looked up the exact weights and everything else, but it's all lightweight gear. And like I say, I already like the feel of that fabric, so that's always promising. But the first order of business will be to turn around and pull out the tree huggers and to strap them up. There's a couple trees that are located over here that are smaller diameter. The tree huggers they supply are 10-foot tree huggers, and I live on the west coast of North America in a rainforest style environment. So as you can see by some of the diameter of the trees, I don't know if the camera gives it justice, but that tree there alone is probably 8-10 foot round. So I have to go with the smaller diameter trees to make sure that I'm successful in kind of getting these tree huggers around and that kind of thing. But that's part of being on the west coast. Of the trees become so massive here. Tree huggers are always problematic in that regard. But either way, I'll set the camera up and I'll start to walk through the process of setting the hammock up in detail. Yeah. So like I say, I've got 2 smaller diameter trees. I've got the one here. It looks like it's thick enough. It's about 7 inches, 8 inches round. And then I've got another tree over here, is probably about 1 foot round. So I think those trees should be stable enough. They're about 15, maybe 20 feet apart tops. So those are the 2 trees that I'll be aiming to connect to. So I ask that you forgive the noise. I'm close to a military base. There's a lot of helicopters and those types of things fly over these areas. But either way, I'll just get on with putting the hammock up. So like I say, they come with a couple tree huggers. These are normally elementary to put on. They're a little bit smaller diameter than my hammock ones, but that's okay. They're always rated for good strength and that kind of stuff, so I'm not overly concerned in that regard. And they all seem to be equal length with my hammock straps. There's a thick end and a thin end. These are universal width, which is fine. So I simply just wrap the tree hugger around the tree. There's loops in the cordage for the strapping. I just pull that through and I'm onto that tree. It's just that simple. I have to do the same on the other tree now. I'll cut angles so you guys can see that being hooked on. So like I say, with the strapping, they have loops into them and they're all the way along the length of this strapping. So the thinking really is I purely or simply just wrap it around the tree. I take the strapping, feed it back through itself, and I'm onto the tree now. And then all along the length here, they've got sewn in little loops, if you will, where you can adjust the carabiner clips along the length of it. So with this strapping, they have a little bit of a length before the loops start. So this is the end that would be primarily onto the tree, and then all the other loops go right down to the very end, and it gives you, you know, 2 or 3 inch adjustments that you can do when you go to clip the hammock in. So this is up and set at the position I want it to be at now, and now it's just as simple as hooking the hammock on with its carabiners onto these strapping loops at the desired position. I'll show that now. So I'll go back to the first strapping I had strung up to the first tree, and I'm not sure if they've connected the carabiners on to the, yeah, they have. Good, perfect. So there's carabiners that are strapped to each end of the hammock. You simply just pop open the carabiner, put it through the loop in the strapping, and I'm on to that end. It's really that simple. And now I run out the other end. It's got a carabiner that sits on this side as well. I'll just grab the strapping on the tree. I pull that out now to the desired position that I want it in, and I simply just clip it in. Now this is hanging really low. I'll turn around and adjust it so that I've got more tension and it lifts higher up into the air, because when you put your body weight onto these hammocks, it's going to end up dropping a bit. So you want to adjust accordingly that your butt's not going to be sitting on the dirt in the middle of the night. So these hammocks are really great. It's just that easy to kind of set things up, if you will. The pocket that the entire hammock system came in then just becomes a little pouch here that's sitting on the side that you could put some gear into. So I'll try to get a better camera angle and I'll show close-ups of the carabiners and those types of things, yeah? So like I say, these are extremely quick and easy to set up. It's the same as my, or not the same, it's very, very similar to my hammock that I have. I think that one weighs a little bit less, but costs twice the price. So, you know, it's one of those things. But as you can see, that's where the loop fed through, the strapping just fed through the loop to wrap around the tree. They've got all these additional loops that go all the way along, and here the carabiner of the hammock just simply clips into the strapping and you're on, you know. And you make sure you get it to a half decent tension. Exact same on this side where the carabiner is just hooking into the strapping. Really simple setup. And then we're just looped onto the tree, so you can see this takes maybe a minute or two to set up. It's very, very elementary. It's one of the things I like about these types of hammock designs. You know, that's one of the big draws I had towards the hammock, and it's good to see that the DEERFAMY has done the exact same kind of thing. Now, these types of designs to me simplify the entire hammock process, and it's definitely promising in that regard. So I'll see if I can set the camera up and you can see my body kind of hanging in it, and then I'll look at inflating the pad and seeing if I can set the pad in. Like I say, you can see here, hopefully I'm getting this on the camera okay, you can see here that pocket that was used the bag, if you will, to hold the hammock in just becomes a little side pocket that is strapped directly onto your hammock. You know, when you're laying out in the middle of the night, you now have that kind of additional little pocket there for convenience sake. So it's good in that regard. Then given the way that they've structured this, the hammock never had to touch the ground. You know, if you're in muddy, dirty conditions and you're wanting to keep your gear clean, having this kind of setup is really ideal in that regard. It allows you to never really have to touch the ground. And so, you know, the cleaner you keep your gear, the longer it lasts, in my lens of, you know, dirt and moisture and those types of things that get into gear tend to be the number one thing that wears them down, you know, fast through time, if you will. So if you can keep them clean and dry, they'll last for years to come. So like I say, I'll set the camera up on a different angle, and I'll get into the hammock and we'll see exactly how we can sit into it, if you will. So I do have this up fairly high. I'm a fairly heavy guy, and I always want to just make sure that I can put my 220-pound frame into it without it touching the ground, and it's good. As you can see, pretty easy to get into. Generally speaking, you're going to want to kind of shift yourself and adjust. In a lot of hammocks, you would lay kind of on an angle to make it that you're in a flatter position. This hammock is a single, so it's a little more difficult to do that in that regard, but either way, this is already comfortable. I could already easily sleep. There's definitely no problem in that regard. I've got ample room on the head and the feet to ensure that, you know, there's no issue in that regard. And the actual drop from my body weight being put in didn't seem to be that substantial. This material seems to hold up well in that regard, and it's got a bit of fuzziness to it, so it feels comfortable. It really is a comfortable hammock. I could easily see sleeping in this without issue. So I'll pop out at this point in time. Like I say, simple to get in and out of. When it comes to using it as a seat, you know, if you don't have a stool with you and that kind of thing, like I say, you could easily have it where you've got your bag with some stuff in it and that kind of stuff, or a little pouch with some stuff in it and that kind of thing. Right now, this to me is at an ideal position. I can sit and relax in a sitting position without it being a problem. I really like this hammock already. It's already showing promise. I'll kind of give it a bit of bounce and sway, make sure I'm not hearing any tipping or ripping noises or any of that. It all seems pretty solid. So like I say, I'll inflate up the air pad and see how well that sits into here. Normally I would use, like I say, a foam pad if I was using my hammock, but this DEERFAMY hammock is definitely good competition against the hammock. It weighs, I think, a couple of grams more, maybe a quarter pound more or so, give or take. But you know, when you get down to weights that are so light as these things, to me, I don't normally, when I'm out in the field, I don't normally take that stuff into too much consideration. I know there's people out there that are ultra light and save every ounce and everything else, but if this hammock costs you, you know, half the price of buying a hammock, say, and all you're gaining is maybe 150, 200 grams in weight, you know, for a 220-pound guy, it's worth the sacrifice. I'm more concerned about the quality and stability of the products, that I know that I can trust them when I'm out in the field, and I'm not necessarily worried about every ounce that I'm carrying. If I was going on long through hikes and that kind of thing, where I was doing 100 kilometers, 200, 300, 400 kilometers in range, or, you know, miles, if you will, then I would definitely consider weight being more of an option, because I'd want to be super lightweight so I could be mobile. Generally speaking, most of the time I'm out in the field for 3-4 days tops, you know, maybe a week or two at best, and normally I go with the mindset that I'm not going to be moving fast, because I've got food stocks and I've got longer term equipment with me. So I already know in the back of my head my mobility is going to be diminished to a certain degree. But like I say, I'm really enjoying this this DEERFAMY hammock so far. Now, it definitely is comfortable. I do really like it. So I'll throw in the air mattress and that kind of stuff, and we'll just see. But as it stands right now, I would trust this hammock out in the field already. I can just tell by the quality. Everything seems to be stitched really well. Oh, everything seems to be, you know, I see triple stitches. Even the strapping is all triple stitched at the points where the loops are formed, if you will, that type of stuff. It seems like it's really well made product. So I'm pleased with it so far. Like I say, I won't go through the graphic details of me sitting there blowing up my pad for 10 minutes, but one way or the other, I'll just get some air into it. I'll set it in so we can see how the pad sits into the hammock and how much, you know, if the pad's too big or not. Normally I leave a little bit of I don't fully inflate pads when I'm using them in hammocks. I leave a little bit of you know, room for it to kind of bend and bow and have a bit of give to it, and that way it sits into the hammock well. But I'll inflate it and we'll give it a shot. Yeah, so I'll just kind of give a bit of a close-up on the pad itself. I'll just throw that with the bag. Feels like fairly durable material. In this ground pad there's clips where, from what I understand it to be, if you're with a significant other and you're out in the field, you can actually take these and clip them together, which is something I haven't seen in many other ground pads. So in essence, if you had two of these, you could go from a single to a double, which I kind of like that as well. Like I say, it's DEERFAMY. There's the logo. Now they've got a double cap system to blow into and then to release, and just gives additional insurance that it's not going to accidentally deflate. So there's a one-way valve in there. I'll see if I can catch that on camera. The little one-way valve where you keep this part sealed, and you really only open that to quick release and get all the air out, but you keep this part where you simply blow into it, and it makes it where the air doesn't easily escape because of that little one-way valve. Yeah, so like I say, there's a 10-minute process now of me blowing this up because I don't have an air pump with me or any of that shenanigans, and I'll just fill this up and then I'll set it on the hammock and you can see that in detail. So I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised. This pad was really easy to inflate. It actually took me less than 1 minute. I've had some pads where it's difficult to get the air in. This had no problem. I could blow large volumes of air into it rapidly. I do like how it has the double lock, if you will, with the one-way valve here. They made it that as I blew it up, I could, and I'm blowing this up to be really firm actually, because of the design of it with this pillowed effect. It allows it to have way more flexibility and give, so I feel confident in blowing it up a little further than I normally would with a hammock setup. And that makes it really stiff. The air loss was minimal with this double valve design. I really liked it. And like I say, this pillowed effect made it that it was really quick to fill this up. Now, I'm pleased with this pad so far. Now, I'll set it into the hammock now just to show you how well it sits in and that kind of stuff. Now, this shouldn't be a complex process. I do this with my hammock, and in essence, there's a light colored blue that sits on this hammock, and I just kind of hook it, and then there's a darker blue that's in the main body of it. So I just kind of hook two sides in, to get the corners to kind of hook into the hammock, if you will. And it's just that simple. I really like that. I really like this hammock and the pad. This combination is really nice. Now, so I'll shift camera angles, I'll show you, but you can see it was elementary to put that pad in there now. Then now I feel more confident knowing that I could use this in a colder environment and have that bit of insulation from the underside of me to help keep the cold off me. So I'll grab the camera, bring it over. I'll just grab the camera now and show you. Hold on. Let's just, there we go. One of the joys of doing bushcrafty stuff. So you can see there's this kind of lighter colored material that's on the outside edge, and they've sewn in a darker blue. I don't know, hopefully the camera's picking that up, but there's kind of a two color. There's the dark blue and the light blue that's kind of out on the edges. The padding seems to fit perfectly in along that tripled seam on the inside, where the pad just kind of hooks into that seam and allows you to kind of set it in with ease. So like I say, I'll get back into the hammock with the pad in and kind of show you that and get a good feel for the comfort. But I'm really liking this setup. DEERFAMY definitely has a solid product here in that regard. Like I say, I'll give you another close-up of this. That's their logo. I'm really impressed with the quality and the design and everything. I'm pleased with it so far. So I'll set up the camera so you can see me hop into it, and we'll see how comfortable it is once the pad's in and everything, and how well I can sit into it and feel cozy. So now, like I say, the pad's sitting in there now. I'll try to get in from this side now just to see. Elementary. Really simple. Yeah, I can see how that pad will kick out a bit. So that's one thing to be mindful of, but it was easy to get in here with the pad. I think I've got to shift the pad slightly up towards my head more, and it's warm. My underside isn't feeling cold at all at this point in time. It's about 3 or 4 degrees Celsius in the location I'm in, and as soon as I sit down on this, I feel warm and comfortable. I could easily sleep in this overnight. No issue at all. So I'm quite pleased with how it's set up. So I can see when I get out though, that pad's going to want to jump out of the setup. But it seems fairly elementary to straighten that out and that kind of thing. All in all, top tier. I really enjoy this hammock so far. So I'll grab the pillow, inflate it, try it with the full deal, and then I'll wrap this up. But I have good confidence already at this point in time that I could easily use this out in the field and feel safe and secure using it without issue. The quality does seem very good. DEERFAMY seems to make really high quality stuff, and the price was reasonable. I wrote it down because I got a brain like a sieve, but you know, they shipped this stuff to me as kind of free test merch, if you will. But then when I went and looked on their website, what was it? The lightweight camping sleep pad, mat backpacking with pillow. So the pillow and the pad was $60 Canadian, and that was the product and the shipping. You know, at the time I'm recording this, obviously. And the portable hammock with the tree straps was around $45 with the product and shipping. For a hammock of this quality to come with the tree huggers and everything else for 45 bucks, to me that's a great deal. DEERFAMY, all I gotta say is you guys make good products. I'm pleased with everything I'm seeing so far. The only real question I have now is how long these carabiners will last, you know, and if they're a good quality carabiner, I could see using this hammock for years to come. So you'll definitely be seeing this in future videos of mine. I don't question that at all. Like I say, I'll stop, I'll pull out the pillow, I'll inflate that and throw it in, and then it'll give me a good kind of review test, if you will, of this hammock. And I'm fully confident with everything I've seen so far, the triple stitching and all that kind of stuff. It's all top shelf. I'm confident in using this out in the field for sure, 100%. So I'll blow up the pillow, I'll show you me laying in there with the pillow. The comfort is already fantastic, so I can't say more about that. But and then I'll start to wrap this review up. Yeah. So now I'll just show a close-up of the pillow. Like I say, it all seems really high quality. They definitely haven't skimped on things, and I like how their bags seem to be a little bit bigger. You know, sometimes when you get this gear, they always ship it to you in tiny bags. And so it's fine and dandy they manage to get it to you, but when you're out in the field and you're trying to put stuff back into the bag at the end of the day, it's really difficult. Whereas this stuff, it seems like DEERFAMY has already taken into account that the bags need to be that little bit bigger. It's not always about this tiny as can be kind of mentality. Sometimes it's about ease of functionality as well. So now this is the pillow. Like I say, they got their logo on it. All seems pretty solid. It's got grippy bubbles on the bottom to help it stick. Plus it's got the strapping which I can wrap around the pad and help lock this pillow in place, and I like that. They don't have the same kind of double valve system on here as they do on the hammock, and the one-way valve seems to be a little simpler, a little different, if you will, but that one-way valve seems to be holding. The one thing I do like about it is about their valve systems that they're using is there doesn't seem to be any leakage when you take your mouth away as you're inflating it. I really like that. Some products aren't that way, and as soon as you blow in, you have to kind of pinch it and stop it while you're taking your next breath. These guys seem to have solved that problem, and this pillow has a very almost like a light furry feeling. It feels warm and fuzzy. I'm sure that's going to be comfortable on my head in the middle of the night, 100%. So I'll go and strap it with this part right onto that pad so everything's kind of locked in place, and then I'll lay down and give it a final kind of test of comfort. Yeah, so now I'll just set the pillow in and strap it in place. It does seem like they've got snap buttons on the pillow as well, so you can wrap it around and snap it in place. So I'll just kind of pop out this end a bit. Hook that on. Do the same on the other side. Love it. Absolutely love it. I love how that pillow can strap to the pad just to make sure it doesn't slip in the other middle of the night, you know. The other pillow I have is a little X pillow. It's tinier than this by a fair amount in weight and stuff, but having those little straps and those little extra things, I know because I've lost my pillow at 3 in the morning when I'm out in the woods in the past, and I'm having to get out of my hammock and fish around on the ground in the middle of the dark looking for my hammock at 3 in the morning, you know. And those little extra features definitely add to the whole effect. So I'll just hop back in here now. Oh, top shelf. Absolutely cozy, man. I couldn't ask for more comfort. I really couldn't. So DEERFAMY is new to me. Like I said, they've reached out to me and asked me to kind of check out some of their merch, fired me over these products. I'll definitely be using them in the field. You'll see them in full-length videos coming up into the future. But as it goes for comfort, this is top shelf DEERFAMY. Thumbs up for the quality of your stuff for sure. I nothing about what I've seen so far I have any complaint. I'm normally leery about using these inflatables. So I'll try them at home and leave them inflated and see that they hold air. I'll get my kids to jump around on them and play with them and that kind of stuff. And I don't normally worry about the wear and tear of the pads too much if I'm using them in things like this hammock, because it's up off the ground and it's all soft and padded and that kind of stuff. But I can tell you, this is super comfortable. And to set this entire setup, I could see, 2-3 minutes tops, maybe 5 at best. And you've got this set up ready to go. I throw up a ridge line and toss a tarp over top and I'm golden. To me, this is smoothing it for sure, 100%. So if you enjoy this type of content, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Absolutely love it. And I'll just give one more full walk down through it. So the tree hugger is strapped to the tree, fed into the carabiner. There's the pillow strapped onto the pad so it's not going anywhere. And if anything, the little air valve is being covered by the pillow, so I wouldn't even feel that. The way it sits is fantastic. I'm really impressed. At this point in time, I actually like this a lot better than my hammock setup. My hammock setup's a little bit lighter and stuff, but I can tell this is going to be a far more comfortable night's sleep. So definitely 10 out of 10. Top shelf product. tear downs of everything to see how long it takes and that kind of stuff, right? So I thought I'd just kind of show that in the video too. So you just gotta pop your finger in the hole of the one-way valve here. It allows the air to get out of the pillow. Pretty simple. And normally if I was packing up and wanting to go, I wouldn't get too fancy, so we'll just see how it goes. I can tell I gotta fold it a certain way. Get the air out of it. And this is exactly the kind of stuff I was talking about, of DEERFAMY's bags are even bigger than what most of the competition, if you will, give you. And it can be extremely difficult to get stuff back into your bags at the end of it if it's not folded up perfectly and everything else, which isn't ideal when it's, you know, freezing cold first thing in the morning and you're just wanting to get moving. Having that little bit extra into these bags does make a world of difference. But either way, that was far simpler than I've dealt with from most of the outfits out there. And it's tiny again. Let's put that with the bag. The air mattress is just a dream. Because it's got that double valve system, I'll simply just roll it from this end to force the air out of it as I go. There's no work to even get the air out. I can tell that having that open valve for quick release of the air makes it way simpler. Some of them don't have that. You have to sit and squeeze this little mechanism and stuff. That's the last thing you want to be dealing with when you're out in the field and it's 6 o'clock in the morning and it's, you know, -5 or some, you know, it just makes awkward situations. I do really like how they've done this, for sure, 100%. And you can see with their bags, it's still a little bit awkward, but nothing too extreme. I've sat and pissed around with bags in the past and spent almost as much time getting them back in the bag as I have assembling the entire, you know, mechanism that I was working with. And when it comes to these hammocks, and like I say, this is exactly what I'd end up doing if I was out in the field. The hammock is really simple to get back into its kit. I do like that. I'll pop that off. And I'll make sure that the carabiner part sits up now, so it's right near the top. That was elementary. I'll just set that there for a second. Pop my tree huggers off. And really I'm just rolling them so that they're in a loop later, or in a big circle as I go. And I'm sure I don't even need to be this fancy with them, I could just toss them in the bag that the hammock is. Yeah, there's plenty of room in there. So as an example, I'll just show you with this one. Because they're only 10-foot length, it really doesn't matter. They're not going to get too jumbled into each other. As simple as that. I don't even need to roll them up. There's enough for a minute. So, to DEERFAMY, thanks for sending me the merch. It's definitely going to be invaluable. I'll be using these moving forward. You know, you'll see them in future videos. As anything, when it comes to the equipment I use, if you see them appear in my videos and then they disappear, they didn't make it. If you see them persist in my videos over an extended period of time and through multiple videos, it's a solid piece of kit. Everything I'm seeing coming out of the DEERFAMY at this point in time has been top shelf. And so I'm pleased and I'm grateful that they sent it to me. You know, as we move through time, hopefully they'll send me some more stuff. Cheers. Thanks for watching.